First, I started with Ritalin at 5, then I went to Concerta. Titanic, Jack. No, don't edit that out.
Firstly, just kind of want to talk about the reasoning on starting this YouTube channel and the benefit you see in that.
Our team is having so much fun while we're building this company, working together, collaborating, and also we just connect so much with our customers that I thought it'd be fun to create something that shows more of the soul of the company. I come from the hustle of the streets. I grew up in the south side of Chicago. When I was 18, I got out of there and moved to Santa Barbara, went to City College, established residency, then transferred to UCSB, saved a ton of money, like 100 grand. And then I was always working and always hustling and trying to make money, but also didn't really have much regard for my health until I was around 25. And that's when I really just started learning about nutrition and supplements and lifestyle. And that's how I discovered a lot of the ingredients that are in everydaydose.
Awesome.
So this may sound ridiculous to some people, but I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast in like 2011. And he was just getting started. And I was listening to an episode and Joe Rogan talked about like lion's mane. And then he also talked about I don't want to actually give a call out to Onnit, but basically he talked about Onnit. I tried Onnit and I was like, holy shit, there's actually stuff that's out there that actually works. That's not Adderall. And so I was too broke to actually pay for Onnit. So I looked in the ingredients on the back and I looked at everything and I started buying everything individually and testing it out and seeing like what feels really good in my body. And then I just started compounding my own sort of formulas, and before you knew it, I turned my kitchen into a lab, and I was always just like reading about the latest research.
You dive like a little bit deeper into your relationship with Adderall. And then how that influenced.
Yeah, so I started first taking Ritalin at 5, and then I'd have like weird tics in the classroom and at home, and so they then switched me to Concerta. Then I'm trying to remember that one. Oh, Focalin. Nice, good memory. Yeah, so it was like first I started with Ritalin at 5, then I went to Concerta, then eventually Focalin, and then that like all these had their own implications, and eventually I was put on Adderall, and that was in high school. I was taking around like 20 milligrams, and then that wasn't enough, so then I started taking 30 milligrams, and then I was taking XR, which is extended release, and so like at nighttime I'd have sleeping problems sometimes, or if like I crashed, I'd feel really crappy. And so then when I went to the doctor, I had high blood pressure. I remember I was like 24, 25, and I just thought, okay, it's probably because of work. Like, so then I go back again, I had high blood pressure. And then they were talking about putting me on blood pressure medication. And I was like, okay, I'm 25 years old and they're asking me to put on blood pressure medication. This is fucking ridiculous. And so I tried to reduce it from 30 milligrams to 15 milligrams and I couldn't feel it. And then I was like, okay, well then what's the point? So I quit cold turkey, and everybody's always telling me, like when I talk about this, oh, like don't quit cold turkey. It's like seriously life-threatening. Like, maybe it is for you guys, like, or whoever is thinking about doing that, like do as you should and talk to your doctors. But for me, I definitely lost motivation. I lost drive. I had trouble completing my sentences, but from like a health perspective, I was not like suicidal. I was not like having any other adverse reaction from taking my Adderall. Also, like, you got to think about this. If you're being warned to not to get off this medication and there's risks, then why the fuck are you on that medication in the first place? So, yeah, that's my relationship to Adderall. I had a dog when I was growing up. His name was Goofy. So my dad would make the Goofy sound, like that sound. You should edit that out. And it was really cute. And so we just had an affinity to Goofy, the character. And so yeah, it was a sheepdog. Shout out to Kate. When we were going into lockdown together, we rented a house in Woodstock. And so we would focus on nature and hiking and working out and exploring our minds through psychedelics and like working on our shadows and limiting beliefs. And she was working at like an investment banking group. And I was just solely focused on Everyday Dose, and then she would be there offering her insight, her input, and really helped with a lot of the ideas that I had to make decisions on. Don't be afraid to fail. Failure is a good thing if you can learn from it and grow. It builds resilience, and don't take things so personally. That's obviously something that I think we all continue to work on. I think those are two. Third one would be to don't have expectations. Just work hard and don't have expectations. No, there's just so many. So I'm just trying to think of which failure I should talk about and how I was able to capitalize on, or how that drove me to this and then that. I think in 2019, I was desperate. I was doing Airbnbs. They were getting shut down by the city of New York. I had very little of my savings. And this guy was talking about, he was a trader and he's making all this money doing option trading. And I was heavily invested in Bitcoin. And so I wanted to diversify. So I had a ton of money saved up. To me at the time, it was 80 grand. And I gave it to him and he ran off with it. That was a serious failure. And I think that experience sort of lit a fire under my butt to then be I cannot fail with Everyday Dose, because if I fail, I'm gonna have to work for someone again. And I just know that that's not how I'm designed. I just as such a unique way of working and navigating through life that it's going to be hard to work for someone. So it really, that failure led to leading a fire under my ass to really focus on making sure that Everyday Dose cannot fail, because I have hit rock bottom in New York. And I didn't want to go back to that spot. I am so glad I didn't get what I wanted. Because if I had made a ton of money from that guy, who knows if I would have had the same drive to live out my dharma. That is also really hard. This is not an easy process. And I'm glad I'm doing it. But had I been just handed all this money from this magical option trader, there was a good chance that I would just be hanging out in Costa Rica.
Right.
It's so interesting. My mom and my dad are so kind. They're both so encouraging. Anything I want to do. If I wanted to be a professional musician, they'd encourage it. If I wanted to be a cook, a magician. My dad actually said to me once, Jack, you should be a magician. And yeah, I put so much pressure on myself, and I think it really has to do with, I feel like I grew up feeling stupid, just being dyslexic and ADHD, and there's this really weird situation in my school where if you had trouble with testing, which I did, you can have a little bit extra time to take that test, which I think is really cool. There shouldn't be an assigned amount of time. If it takes you 5 hours or 5 years to do a Nobel Prize, give this person that time. Why should someone be confined to a specific amount of time? I think it has to do with just getting out of school at the right time. But because of that, I was able to go and because of that, my extended time meant I had to get up out of the classroom during the test, or right before the test, walk out in front of everybody to go into the special education room to take the test. So there's like little things like that, and then also working really hard and not getting good grades. And I think I just like have this internal drive to prove people that I am smart and that I am capable. And I think at this point I've already worked through that with a lot of like exploring of the mind through psychedelics. But that drive is still in me. That's a hard one because I'm not, like I know history is so important. I'm not much of a reader. I think, because I don't know who I would be like in the past. I think one would be my grandfather. I would love to have another dinner with my grandfather. He was such a role model. Like he grew up in the South Brooklyn area, and I think at 15 or 14, he actually drove a truck. Like that was his job. And then he got sent to the war, and he was what is called a frogger, which is a modern day Navy SEAL, disarming bombs. And then came out and started a printing company in the south side of Chicago with my grandma, where he had my father. And he was just the kindest man and the most generous person. And it would be pretty cool to be able to have a conversation with him at my age now, where I can fully appreciate him in all the ways.
Right.
Budwater, rise. Shout out to Rashad and Shane, yo! Don't edit that out. It's actually an Austin brand, Heart and Soil. I find organ meats to be extremely disgusting. Like I grew up where my mom would say that she was allergic to fish, so no one would pressure her to eat fish, just because she hates the smell and the concept of it. And so I didn't even have fish for my first time until I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't touch it. I was like disgusted by it. And then I was in California and someone was like, we're gonna get sushi. I was like, what? And I tried a California roll. It's like tight. And so like adventurous eating was not like in my DNA. And so I still just don't see myself biting into a heart or a kidney. And so these supplements allow you to get these organ meat that has like a lot of different types of vitamins and minerals that you just don't normally get in your nutrition and your diet. And so I really like that brand. What else am I taking? Z-Biotics, very cool brand. When you drink alcohol, it produces acetaldehyde, and acetaldehyde is sort of like the bad stuff that alcohol produces in your body. So it just does a lot of damage to the body and the liver and to the gut. And what's really cool is when you drink this drink, it basically brings the enzymes to digest the alcohol in your gut versus having to wait for it to go into your liver to then break down. So it's actually breaking down the alcohol earlier so that you're not getting as much acetaldehyde. And so it's a lot more gentle on your body. I stopped drinking a lot in 2018. And now I have an occasional drink here and there, but I just don't want it to have the negative effects in the body. So I'll take a Z-Biotics, and that feeling that I would get in my gut, I would like have acid reflux. I would have like just like night sweats. Like I don't get any of those anymore. And so it's just a great way to have fun casually with people and have a drink, but not worry about it.
Right, yeah.
What's a moment that made me cry laughing? I do remember crying laughing recently with the team. Like those moments happen all the time when we travel together, like being with the team, like us joking around. Like we spend so much time together that it's like a family. And so like there's a lot of inside jokes and there's just a lot of like playing around. And yeah, I think the last time was like just tears in my eyes from the team.
Awesome.
I wanted to have something that was in the name that said, an action, to take an action. So I like the idea of every day, so that it gives that idea of this is supposed to be consumed every day. And then I was still trying to figure out the second part of it. And then I just thought about like, this is medicine for your body. It's really good for you. And so a dose was like sort of medical. And then dose stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, DOSE. So everyday dose was where I got that. I grew up with a sister. She's 3 years older. She was just such a great influence, always protected me, was always there for me. My mom, who is the nicest, most kindest person in the world, and she's hilarious. And it's because she's not trying to be. Like, she just is funny. I love it when Ghost is like with her. He's just cracking up the whole time. And then my dad. And my dad is this sort of like 6'3", lanky Jewish dude who looks like Larry David. And he acts like Larry David, and he has these like really ridiculous moments that are cringe and embarrassing, and he gets himself into situations, but we all love him. And he's extremely frugal, like extremely frugal. Like the most scarcity mindset when it comes to money. I think, which is also something that like was brought into me and something I had to work through. On the flip side, that turned me into an incredible operator, where I questioned every single cost, ruthlessly, because this sort of philosophy that I take is, you may have the best brand and the best business and the best product and the best market and the best customers, but if you run out of money, you're out of business. And so growing up with that really helped with that. Titanic, Jack. No. I don't really watch a lot of movies, but I really like feel-good movies or hero stories of like persons like going through a rough time and then something incredible happens to them. Like Slumdog Millionaire, Joy that I just watched with Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper, where she's like a single mom who's like divorced, and her husband's living in the basement, and she's like in Long Island, and she's got 3 kids, and she's like kind of picked on by the family, and she's like really smart, and she really can't pursue anything she wants, but she's like helping take care of the family business. And then she goes on to start her own business by like her, like, I think she like cut her hand when she was trying to clean up wine on a boat, because mops at that time weren't able to drain by twisting it. So she came up with this mop idea where like you kind of pull it and twist it, and now every mop is like that, but she like came up with this idea and then brought it to like QVC or one of those home television networks where you sell on TV. And like just that story was like, wow, you're rooting for her, you really want her to win. I love movies like that. Yeah, so it was like November of 2019, a friend came over, and as I would with anybody who came over, I'd like to make like an elixir with like fun, different adaptogens. And so I made this cacao drink with lion's mane and chaga and L-theanine and hoshu, schizandra, tocotrienols, like a bunch of stuff. Served it to him, he's like, whoa, this is amazing, this belongs in Whole Foods. And I just remember being like, yeah, right, whatever. Like there's already so many brands in Whole Foods. And he's like, no, like, you're living in this bubble where people are talking about this a lot, but the rest of the country doesn't know about these incredible ingredients. And so that planted a seed in my head. And then, so I was just kind of like just thinking about it in my head and sort of struggling with the Airbnb situation and trying to figure out like, what do I want to do next? And then when the pandemic happened, I didn't want to be in New York City. Like it was just too crazy. You're locked down. I didn't want to be confined to a small apartment. So I moved up to Woodstock, and that's when I kind of started working on the idea.
Awesome.
And that was, so I guess March of 2020, I finally like solidified the name. I knew that I wanted to make this coffee with lion's mane, chaga, collagen, and L-theanine. And that's when I started building out the supply chain, the website, the marketing, the packaging. starting in March, and then we launched it in January 1st, basically. So I guess like, what is that, 9 months?
Yeah. Awesome.
Oof. I need to hire a head of brand. Like, don't know any brands that like I like love, and I can't think of like a brand partnership. I guess it doesn't have to be a brand. It could be like a person, any kind of partnership.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking about like this, like the Hailey Bieber smoothie is going so well in Erewhon. They sell like $30,000 worth of Hailey Bieber smoothies per store every day or some shit. There's like a crazy number. And like you go into Erewhon and there's like 20 being made at any given time, and each one's like $20. So I'm like, okay, well that'd be kind of cool to do like a Hailey Bieber creamer. But is our target demographic the people who love Everyday Dose Hailey Bieber fans? I don't know. She just had a baby, so maybe she's like now transitioning to a different sort of audience demographic. I don't really keep in touch with pop culture. I am so heads down with work that I'm sort of like got blinders on like what's cool and what's not cool. So I don't know that answer.
What do you enjoy to do?
You know what'd be cool? Sorry.
Yeah.
I think it'd be so cool to drink Everyday Dose on a plane.
Yeah.
Like,
You gotta order it.
there's just such crappy, moldy coffee on planes. And I don't even think that like they bring the water to a boil, so it's perfect. But it's not perfect if you're actually trying to like make real coffee.
Right.
But for Everyday Dose, it's absolutely perfect. So I don't know, definitely not Spirit. But I think it'd be cool to be like maybe like Delta or United or American, and just to be able to serve a better way to energize and like with a lot more benefits that like is easier on your body. Flying is already super stressful, and so having a coffee that can relax you but keep you focused and improve your mood when you're on like a 4-hour flight would be kind of cool. And like I think that would be a great way for someone to experience the brand. They'll be like, well, I feel so much better right now, and that would potentially lead to like an actual long-time customer.
Right. Awesome.
You know, I've been really stepping into hosting again. I love to host, and I love good food. I love bringing people together. And so the last thing I did was when I was in New York for a couple of months, I had like this little stand-up piano in my apartment, and it was out of tune. So I found a tuner, and he was tuning it. And then while he was tuning it, he had to test it out to see how it was going. And so he started playing incredibly beautifully. I was like, just wow. And I said, man, you're incredible. I would love to like figure out a way to work together. He's like, I'm not a pianist, I'm a professional flutist. I was like, damn, if he's like saying that this is not professional and he's a good professional flutist, I would love to figure something out. So he brought his friend who was a professional piano player. He brought his flute, and I found the best cocktail mixologist from a place called Undercoat. Coat, for example, is like a Michelin star Korean steakhouse, and he's the mixologist that comes up with all the drinks, and like they've won awards for their drinks. He's like one of the top mixologists. So I brought him, and then we found this woman, and she calls herself Omakasita, and she's like this like Japanese omakase chef, and brought her, and I brought 15 of our friends, and it was called Gratitude of Seasons, Gratitude of something. Memory's failing me, but it was like a theme. So I really like the idea of having like this way of bringing everybody together. And we talked about like, what do you want to call in? What do you want to let go of? And it was a great way to connect with everybody at the party. So I think I want to do more of that on my free time.
Awesome.
To be a household name, to get healthy, better for you coffee in the hands to people who love coffee, and to make different kinds of coffee for different types of coffee drinkers. So coffee is such a personal thing where someone might like that light tasting coffee with a latte and fun drinks. And we have that right now. It's like Original Coffee Plus. We just call it Coffee Plus. And we just launched a Bold Coffee Plus. And that's really for like a true coffee drinker who likes their coffee black and bold. And maybe a little bit of milk, maybe it's just straight. That's for like a real coffee drinker. And then maybe someone wants like a protein coffee, so having a protein coffee. To really just be coffee first, or like functional first coffee, is like the long-term plan. And for everyone in the country to know about Everyday Dose. Bold coffee. Protein coffee, potentially. Like, so right now there's already 4 grams of protein from the collagen, and I want to add more protein from whey protein isolate. It's the highest quality protein of the whey family. There's whey protein casein, there's whey protein concentrate, and then there's whey protein isolate. And just from my research, I found that whey protein isolate is the highest of quality and the best tasting, in my opinion.
Awesome. Well, cool. What did you think of this experience?
This was cool. I was a little nervous getting into it, but it was nostalgic to think about the past and think about my family and think about the company and the team. So thank you.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Nope.
Awesome. Sweet. That's a wrap.
That's cool.